Well, on this occasion, we would like to receive Mr. Jason Pronick, the regional manager of the UNV program in the Arab States. Good evening and welcome, Mr. Jason.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Mr. Jason, can you please tell us about the World Volunteer Day and about this year's special theme, which is under Together We Can through volunteering?
Yes, I can. It's a great pleasure to speak to your audience today. Every day, every 5th of September, as mandated by the UN General Assembly, we celebrate International Volunteer Day. And we've heard the previous intervention about the importance of the Red Crescent and the Red Crescent's role in supporting the COVID response in Kuwait. This year brings an unparalleled sense of urgency and responsibility. Under the theme "Together We Can," today it's an opportunity to pause and to thank volunteers. It is convened under the theme "Together We Can," and the campaign is meant to showcase volunteers' contribution and the impact that they're having in supporting the COVID-19 response, and also to thank volunteers for their actions and their commitment. The campaign also highlights, really importantly, that volunteers must be safe and taken care of both mentally and physically, and have the right enabling environment for them to do their work and be the best professionals. So the purpose of this day is it's under the theme "Together We Can," and your listeners can find that on the website of the United Nations Volunteers. And there's a Blue Heart campaign where we're asking people to put a blue heart on their mask as a symbol of, as a positive feeling of solidarity and compassion towards volunteers who are very often at the front line in the response, both in Kuwait and across the Arab States region and globally. And the purpose of the heart is to show solidarity.
Mr. Jason, as we all know, during the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm sure we all know that it has disrupted many activities globally and around the world. How have the volunteers coped with the pandemic, seeing as they are at the forefront providing their assistance?
Thank you. They've coped in really different ways. In some cases, we've seen, and your listeners will have experienced this themselves, we've seen people assisting their elders, assisting the local communities to shop for groceries, or to support awareness-raising activities in the communities of social distancing. From the perspective of the United Nations volunteers, we took very deliberate action in order to facilitate an increase in volunteers in 3 ways. First, ensuring that we're protecting the duty of care, that people are safe and they're able to do the jobs and bring their global best that we need in the response. Second, that people can work remotely. So we've seen people, how are they coping? They're also able to work remotely, and we've provided them with the tools and the technologies so that they could shift some of their work online. And third, UN Volunteers has also deployed specialized experts, trained experts to support the United Nations across Arab states in the response, whether that's a surge in the number of doctors and nurses in Yemen, or experts supporting the analysis of the effects of COVID in Morocco on women, or UN volunteers supporting the UN's Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, who are monitoring what they call the infodemic, the misinformation around the vaccine. So we've seen individuals also of course suffer enormously. They're at the front line, so they're effective. We've done our best to ensure that they have duty of care. We've seen a great shift to people moving online, and we've provided the enabling environment to allow them to do that.
Mr. Jason, before we end the call, can you please briefly tell us about the cooperation between Kuwait and the United Nations on these special initiatives, and what are some of the future plans briefly?
Thank you. So the UN volunteers and the international community in Kuwait, of course, works under the leadership of the resident coordinator, and there are 2 areas that we're collaborating. One is the youth, the youth Ministry of Youth and Sport. We've seen examples of the youth department wanting to become better organized. Where the UN system and its various entities, UNICEF, UNDP, UNV are coming together to provide an enabling environment for youth that are interested in volunteering both inside Kuwait and also globally outside Kuwait to benefit from the skills that they get from working with the UN system across the world, but also to bring the best to demonstrate the government's role in showing the importance of the relationship between volunteerism and the skills that are built through volunteerism and how that relates to expanding employment opportunities, to creating jobs.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jason Pranik, for your time and joining us here today. That was Mr. Jason Pranik, Regional Manager of the UNV program in the Arab States.